This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs.
Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video. Today we have a top 16 breakdown for the Top Cut Digimon webcam regionals that happened this past weekend. And a couple things before we get started. First, I'm still on the road, so sorry for a drop in quality for this video. Also, thank you for the patience for this video coming out. Just been very busy on the road this weekend. And also, shoutouts to Top Cut for not only giving me these deck lists, but also for letting myself and DigiPanda do the stream for this event. So we were doing that on my Twitch stream. It is linked in the description as well as on this page, which is also linked to the description on Eggman events. If you guys want any of these BT12 results or any other BT12 event that's happened in the past couple weeks, it's going to be on my website. And this also will be, the stream will be re-uploaded onto YouTube in the next couple of days as well. So if you guys want to see it there, make sure to do that. And make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you get notified that when the video drops there as well, if you guys want to see it here. But going on into this breakdown, we do have this top 16 that we see here today with 6 BWGX, 3 Blackboard X, 1 Red Hybrid, 1 Ulforce, 1 Bloomlord, 1 Crossheart, 1 Yellow Hybrid, 1 Machinedramon, and a Hunters to round it out. So honestly, a pretty diverse top 16 that we've been seeing here. The amount of decks that we do see present in this pie chart is pretty good. Unfortunately, I do not have the details of specifically what the ratios of people brought for this event. I do know it was, 440 players? Yeah, 440 players, but I don't know, percentage of how many people were playing BWGX or not. So I'm sorry I don't have that data for this one. But honestly, I think this is very, diverse for a meta. I know some people find it a little bit boring, and some people don't like necessarily. And, obviously, BWGX is very represented, but I don't. And this is just my intuition. This isn't, no facts for this one, unfortunately. But I don't think BWGX is outperforming necessarily as much of this percentage of people playing it. Yes, it's very present. Yes, a lot of people are playing it. And even if we look at like the, who was going 8-1, 5 of them were BWGX. And if we look at the top 8, over half of them were BWGX as well. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We do have, obviously the new ban list coming in effect after this week. So that's something interesting. We also have the Ultimate Cup format 2 coming up, which, I'm going to be looking at a lot of these decks and talking about, my insights a little bit going into the Ultimate Cup format. And I'll be doing more videos of that going into the future too. But in general, it is very interesting to see, what we have 9 unique archetypes into this top 16, which is, I think, the most diverse we've had in a while. And again, we had Red Hybrid win this one too. So BWGX didn't win this. I don't think it won any events this weekend either, which is interesting too. So anyways, we're going to go over the top placing list in each one of these archetypes, starting off with our first place Red Hybrid. This is the Hadis first place Red Hybrid right here. And this is a pretty standard deck in the sense that, like, this is not a deck that you get a lot of variety in what you get to do. Obviously, we do have the new Red Hybrid lines that you're putting into this deck. And in general, it's very aggressive for what this deck can do. I do like the idea of Gravity Crush and also the Omnimon. Only running 1 copy of it. I see some people running 0. I see some people running, as many as like 4 at times. Like usually like 2 or 3. But 1 I think is okay. I was talking to Ben, or DigiPanda as well, and he's saying like, it's a good card, but you don't have any way to search it inherently in this deck, so it just gets bomb decked every time, which kind of stinks too. So sometimes it can be like your ace in the hole for getting the win, but sometimes it just gets bomb decked a lot, and it just kind of clogs up your deck. So it is a bit of a balance for that one. Obviously, the new line is fantastic. Takuya from BT12 is really nice for not only a memory setter, but the additional memory you can get from its security or the inheritable effect it gives. The new Improgram one's pretty good, and then also running 2 of the BT7, which is more than you normally see, having a solid 6 copies of level 6 as well. Looking at our level 5s, only running the old Aldemon, the new one, kind of clunky, and I think I've kind of agreed with that, seeing it in the past couple of weeks. It's something I was testing, and it has like some, it looks like it could be good, but I think honestly just the old one's the best one. You're still good, especially since you can still warp Digivolve with the BT7 Takuya, and then just some Flamemons and some Bokumons. So honestly, I think pretty straightforward for deck construction for stuff like this. But obviously, a very aggressive deck and can be definitely faster than BWGX. It's still going to be a deck that's viable going into, after the ban list. Obviously nothing got hit, and going into potentially like Ultimate Cup, I think this can be viable too. You have to take out the Omnimons and the Bokomons, but that's not too terrible for you, and I think you can have some extra spots for what these are losing. So anyways, congrats to Hadis for their first place finish with this one. And moving right along, we do have Chungman's second place Bloomlord, and Chungman was not our last year but the previous year world champion for the Digimon card game. I didn't really see him play that much in this past year, but to see him come back and get second place in regionals with this Bloomlord as well, he played super great. You definitely want to make sure to check out some of his matches as well. But I do think it's interesting. He's playing a deck that hasn't been seeing a lot of representation with BT12. Bloomlord, I know a lot of people have been talking about it, and we do get to see it in the Ultimate Cup. I think we do have additionally Blossomon being limited to 1 after this, and then also I believe Hydramon is restricted to 1 in the Ultimate Cup format next month as well. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember offhand right now, but I believe that's the case. So this deck obviously is going to take some hits going into Ultimate Cup format, but it's still incredibly strong. Hidden Potential Discovered, still being able to achieve some wins, especially since you have just so many like level 6s and 7s now for green that gain you memory back when you digivolve into them. Obviously, we've seen so many times where Bloomlord with Hidden Potential Discovered is fantastic. The fact that Quartzmon additionally does this too. For every 2 suspended Digimon tamers, you get to gain a memory. So if you did it for free and you get the memory back with Hidden Potential, like this just like helps you win so much. I still would really like to see that card at 0, to be honest, but I think this deck is interesting. That's still doing very strong, and right now I think it's something that it can have some polarizing matchups, and sometimes Quartzmon can help you do some damage with like we'll see in the next deck profile. But Ulforce doesn't have an out to this inherently, which is very good for Bloomlord too, and it's just like an interesting deck that once you set up with it, you're able to get a lot of advantage for it. And it's really, again, cool to see Chungman play with this deck and see how he did for this weekend, too. So I don't have much more insight from that. Congratulations to Chungman for their second place finish there. And next up, we have Martinlee's third place Ulforce. Martinlee's also not a stranger to these top 16 breakdowns for Digimon, usually running something with free traits. So we've seen him do a lot of topping with armors. He's been on Ulforce recently, and he's been playing like this Leomon version of the deck as well. So I think this deck is strong right now. Obviously got third place, but I think it's also going to be something that you're going to see a little bit more in the Ultimate Cup format. In general, too, I haven't talked about this as much. Ultimate Cup format in BT11 was a little bit slower, which means that some decks were able to set up a little bit more. And even though that Ulforce is a very aggressive deck, you do sometimes need that extra turn to set up. Make sure you see your tamers and be able to get your plays off. So I think this is a deck that's going to have a lot of strength going on, especially since, look, with it, everything's blue. Even except for Death X Money, you do have to take that one out, unfortunately. But I think in general, it's a good deck, and it does lose to Blossom and Quartz, though. All of your effects don't happen when you digivolve, but rather when your cards unsuspend. And so since Quartzmon gets rid of, prevents anything from unsuspending, not just during like your unsuspend phase or anything else. So you do have to be kind of cognizant, and you have to maybe run cards to get rid of Quartzmon in this deck, but I think it is still fantastic. It is a bit of an OTK where you can just play this guy. You go into your Ulforce. It can just swing a couple times and just win from there if you have enough tamers to support it. Obviously, if you have your arenas, you're in a good spot, which having like the Goblimon inheritable here helps you find them, and just everything else. And lastly, this was running the Leomon package, so we are using the Jerry Tamer as well as the Leomons here with a 4-1 split. So honestly, I think this is pretty solid for what you're doing, especially since we aren't seeing as much memory blockers. I'd say most of the reason like the Leomon package was less popular was in a format where people were playing Gausimons more and Modoki Betamons more, which just means that you didn't get a lot of the effects that you really wanted from these Leomons. So since those aren't, and you get a lot of inherent memory gain from a lot of inheritables too, from like Vmons and from the Vidramon. So the fact that that's not as popular in the format right now is good. We'll see what it looks like in the Ultimate Cup. If Quartzmon is very popular, it's very easy to get out. You will have to find a way around it, or maybe not play this deck, but there it is there. So anyways, congratulations to Martin for their finish on this one. Next up we have Steffon with their BWGX. So we've made it to this part of the video. Obviously this deck is very strong. Obviously it's a deck that we're going to be losing 3 copies of Impmon moving forward, which is I think impactful. And we're going to have to see honestly what this deck's going to look like. Obviously, it's going to be less powerful, but I think it's still going to be present, and I think a lot of people are still going to be doing very well with it. It's just going to have less of a, oh, you blink and your opponent has 20 cards in their trash, right? I think that's what's going to happen a little bit. I think it's going to rein it in. And honestly, I feel like it's going to rein in the ceiling of the deck, but it's not going to eliminate the floor, if that makes sense. I think consistently this deck is great. It has so much good stuff, and the milling effects was less of effects that it wasn't like how you won the game. It's more of BWGX can still win the game by itself, and then any of the good mills you get, just say, oh, sometimes you just strictly win the game, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if it does, if I'm just rambling on at this point, but BWGX is still going to be fine. We're going to see a bunch of it in the Ultimate Cup. I'm going to be interested to see how successful it is going to be in that format too. So anyways, congratulations to Steffon for their finish there. Next up, we have Crossheart, which this is Basil's 9th place list with it. And spoilers, this will not be playing in the Ultimate Cup format because it and Hunters are just such multicolor ingrained decks that you're just going to have a really hard time playing the deck with any consistency and or anything else, which is a real shame because I love these decks, but it is what it is, unfortunately. But I do like this version here. I do like also the neat little tech with the Shoutmon King version. So it has on play when Digivolve, you can play a Taiki Kudo from your hand without paying its cost, so you'd be able to play this guy, which is kind of neat, and you can Digicross with this too, which means you can Digicross with it's just any card with save in its text. So that is a lot of these cards too. So being able to get that flexibility, and it is a Digicross, which means you can use Taiki to Digicross from underneath it if you need to, and you get to play another one. So I do like that tech. Otherwise, this is kind of like the standard Merva version where you do have a bunch of Gravity Crush and Blinding Rays, and the fact that you can potentially gain all the memory to keep it your turn, play Merva and get a couple more attacks and kind of go from game. Sometimes you only just need like the 2 extra memory with a Digicross with like a Cross 3 or a Cross 4, and you can get the push to get the win there too. So I don't have a lot more to say. Obviously we're not going to be seeing an Ultimate Cup once again, and congratulations to Basil for their top 16 finish there. Next up we have Joseph with their yellow hybrid, and we did see this one on the stream a little bit too, and I do like this deck. I've always been a fan of yellow hybrid, and I know that if we saw it at its full strength with going into like BT9, since we did get the limit of Jet Sophie to 1 when BT9 came out, we'd probably be sick of this deck. So and I know people are already sick of it by the end of BT8 as well. But I like the deck. I think it's really interesting of how it works and the gameplay for it. And I do think that right now it can be a good meta check, just because if you're able to kind of stall out the game and get it so BWGX will eventually just mill themselves out, you can win that way. So I think that's something that this deck can do well without having to be a fully committed security control deck. And I think the biggest reason is Venusmon. I think Venusmon just strictly buys you another turn in the matchup against BWGX, which is great. Being able to potentially gain some more, bodies on the board, or being able to get some more security, I think is great. You don't have honestly a lot of ways to get security back in this deck, but get any recover effects. But there are a couple ways with Padama or with Salamon, with the reinforcing memory boost, and the Jet Sophie, of course. So there's that. And in general, this is a deck that you can be playing in the Ultimate Cup. You can't play Death X or Susanamon, but if you still want to have a good matchup against BWGX, I think Venusmon is something that just really slows down the deck a little bit, makes it, gives you a little bit more time to set up. And additionally, you have so many good tamers that makes it, if your opponent is going to be more aggressive towards you, you can start your turn with 5, 7 memory moderately consistently, and that can be very strong too. So anyways, this is Joseph's list. Congratulations for their 10th place finish there. And then next we have AJ with their 12th place finish with Black War Greymon X. And obviously we did have the whole new chain for BT12 with War Greymon, and I do think like the BT12 War Greymon is nice, but I also think that a lot of people are just kind of just using the new stuff, and honestly, Black War Greymon X is still just a really strong card for your top. And so I generally like Black War Greymon with some War Greymon tech in it compared to War Greymon or even War Greymon X with potentially some Black War Greymon tech into it too. So that's my quick thoughts into a deck like this. I do think you're not really necessarily fast enough all the time. I do, but a lot of them are playing like Metal Greymon X antibody to get some more pressure if you need to, which is important. And so like that, being able to do both if you need to is great. Black War Grey being able to get rid of Tamers, I think is important in some matchups, especially stuff like Hunters and Crossheart. So very strong there. And then also choosing the Omni X for your top end. So honestly, I don't know how Black War Greymon X is going to kind of function in the BT12 meta, or Ultimate Cup meta, rather, just because you are going to be losing not only all of your white cards, but most of like your more support cards, like specifically like the Tai and Yuyas, are black, which means you have to be running the black base, which means that some cards, like look at how many like mono red cards there are, so. I don't know. I'm not sure if red or black is going to be the better color for Black War Greymon X. I know a lot of people are going to be testing either or, and it's going to be interesting to see how that develops too. So anyways, congratulations to AJ for their 12th place finish here. Next up we have Tyler with their Machinedramon, and we've been seeing, Machinedramon tick up and getting a little bit more popular towards the end of this month as well. I don't obviously have the numbers again for how many people were playing Machinedramon, but it felt like there's a lot. Honestly, it felt like there's a good, bigger chunk of people trying out the deck and trying to play with it. And I know that it was, pretty represented, and I believe it got a couple spots in our top 32 as well. So anyways, I do think this is a neat deck. We did obviously get the Kaustinen X Antibody, which is such a good way to block out a lot of decks right now too. It's and I also think it's a fantastic card that's going to be seeing. Like, it's going to be very, very difficult to remove this card, I think, in the Ultimate Cup format as well, especially since Hunter's not going to be part of that format either. So we're going to see what this looks like. I think this is a deck that you have to be running a black base with, which isn't too big of a deal. Obviously, we will be missing out on the Metal Gray, and the Metal Megadramon here, since they are mono red. But you do have a lot of good cards that are just either, black or red-black, which is really nice. And again, you really want Analog Man. You want your black memory boost. Usually your eggs are black as well. Doesn't mean you can't be running like the Mother D Reaper version of this deck either, but I think a lot of people are going to be playing this. I think the format's going to be a little bit slower than our regular format too, which means you have more time to set up. And if you get out, their Kaustinen X Antibody, there are just some decks that just can't answer it, which is very strong in its own way too. So anyways, congratulations to Tyler for their 14th place finish there. And to wrap it up, we have Hien's 16th place Hunter. I don't honestly have a lot to say about this deck. We've been seeing it, get some tops this weekend. I'm pretty sure it won one of the events this weekend too. I'm still trying to get information, and again, I apologize for being on the road and not getting as much info as I usually do for these ones, but it's still a strong deck. Obviously, no Ultimate Cup format for this guy because you have too many cards from too many colors. But in general, I haven't been seeing as many people playing Hunters in at least from this weekend from what I saw, and I do think it's still a strong deck. But I think barely squeaking into the top 16 with a 1/16th finish means that people might just be done with this deck for a little bit, and we'll see if that continues to be the way. I think it is strong. It does have some ways to just win and get out of kind of some tricky situations with the superior mode removal being like, I would say, the best removal we have in the game right now. I don't it's a little situational, but it's incredibly strong. There's no way to really play around it besides only having one stack out with no Tamer and no other Digimon, but yeah, it's very, very, very strong there. So anyways, that is, I don't have much more to say about this. I think Hunter is good. We'll see if people play it after Ultimate Cup, if they play it into the X4 format too, but this is the list here, and congratulations to Hien. And that is going to be our top 16 breakdown again. Again, thank you so much for watching. Apologies for the delay of this video coming out, and also just the quality being less than our normal standards, so I appreciate you guys still hanging out. And if you've made it this far in the video, hit that like and subscribe button, and that's going to be it for me. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.